Hello, welcome back to a review and recap of Made in Korea. Before I start, I've seen a lot of people ask where to watch the show, and it's currently airing on BBC Iplayer, which is only available in the UK. Not too sure why it isn't available worldwide, but maybe they will release it after all the episodes are out, but we just need to wait and see if they do. I also want to apologize for uploading this so late. I've been sick for the past 2 weeks, but now my recap and review for episode 4 and 5 are out now, so enjoy and let's begin. It's time to talk about what you all came here for, so let's start with the review and recap of episode 4 of Made in Korea. The episode starts with Blaze coming back to the dorm after leaving last episode because he was feeling down after the last evaluation because he was told he didn't fit in. But when he comes back, the guys all meet in a cafe and talk about how Blaze is feeling, and he mentions that they have to follow so many strict rules and instructions, like how they aren't allowed to get tattoos even though 2 members already have them. And I understand where he's coming from. At the end of the day, he is just a 19-year-old guy who has to follow a bunch of strict rules all of a sudden, but the guys explain that they are now a group and they need to stay as a unit and stick to their group image. And this week, they are given a new song called Classic and new choreography. While learning the choreo, Blaze is getting a bit weary of how he is coming across to the teachers because he was told he stands out too much when they are performing as a group. So he asks the choreographer and he says he is doing really well. The next day, Blaze then goes to the wellness coach and says that he's being told he has a bad attitude and all the conscious efforts he makes are the complete opposite to that, and he tries to be kind as much as he can and as hardworking as possible, and hearing from the teachers he is the complete opposite is causing him to be a little on edge. After his meeting with the wellness coach, the next day during practice, June makes an unannounced visit and asks for Blaze to come and speak to her, and I really thought he was going home even though we know he debuts with the group, but for some reason while watching I thought he was gone. But luckily it was just so June could ask if she could trust him and asked if he really wants to still be here, and Blaze said he does. Later that night he has a chat with the other guys so he can talk about how he is feeling and explains that he is willing to learn and grow, and explains if he does something wrong or something the others don't like they should tell him so he knows what not to do. And I think this was nice of them to show, as the guys have all been training for 4 weeks straight learning a new song and choreo every week to be strictly evaluated, and there being a threat of them not debuting every week if they do bad. Obviously the stress is going to get to the guys. After that they go to the A.I.1 strip to go clubbing. Like, that is so silly to show right after they just showed a deep conversation with the guys. Like, it was so random, I wasn't expecting it, but the guys seemed to have a great time and ended up behind the bar. The next day they go back to choreo, and it's one of the hardest ones they've had so far. They then start talking about how Reese eats ultra-processed food and nothing healthy. Like, what does that have to do with difficult choreography? Anyways, they meet up with the K-pop cowboy and go to the Gwangjang market to try a variety of different street foods, and it went pretty good. They ended up liking most of the foods they tried, but they also show that Dexter has been dealing with type 1 diabetes, having to inject himself up to 5 times a day, and he has to head home early from training because it's been a rough week, and his diabetes gets worse when he is in pressured moments, and he's currently feeling burnt out and exhausted. They then go back to practicing, and they show the guys practicing their vocals for the song, and I just have to say Ollie's vocal tone is so nice to listen to. I love it, and he does really good in his vocal lesson, whereas for Reese he has 2 major notes which are out of his usual comfort zone, and it shows him practicing alone trying to get the notes perfect. And as for Blaze, they finally give him parts in a lower vocal range, which suits his tone way more. As they are practicing, James gets some worrying news from his twin brother Lewis, and he's been in the hospital for 8 hours, and James is finding it hard to concentrate on the choreography because he's too busy thinking about if his brother will he alright. But the team end up taking the guys out for the day with Shindong to show them some of Korea's past in a folk village, and the guys also get to wear hanboks, which is traditional Korean clothing. And in the folk town, they end up making the guys do a haunted house, which was a very fun watch, especially seeing the guys all scream at the fake ghosts. After that they go back to practicing, and luckily James gets a call from his brother and he is fine and out of the hospital, and now the guys go back to practicing, but because this is the hardest choreo so far, the teacher makes the guys wear blindfolds to dance, and it was a mess. It started off pretty well, but ended in a complete mess. After that they go to their final vocal rehearsal before their evaluation tomorrow, and Reese is struggling with his 2 major notes in the song, and he begins to get frustrated with himself and starts crying, so he has to take a little break, calm down, and after a while he comes back and practices the notes again. And he nails it, and he was told he just needs to be more confident. After the rehearsal, they are going back home in their minivan, and they receive a video message from Aespa, and if you've been watching the show you would know how much the guys love Aespa. They are always mentioning them as their favorite K-pop group, and they even mention them in their interviews, and I can't blame them. Aespa are such a good group. Everyone love Aespa in this house. It is now the next day, and it is evaluation day, and the guys will have to nail their routine for Classic, but before they start the guys are having some issues. As it is spring, Ollie and Dexter's hay fever was acting up and they were coughing and sneezing a lot while they were getting ready to shoot the performance, and also before they actually start the evaluation video, Reese is practicing his high notes alone so that it will be perfect. And before they were about to shoot, Dexter's diabetes were causing him some problems and he is beginning to get frustrated with himself, but the other guys were with him to help him and tell him that he will be totally fine. And on top of all of that, the guys have to perform under the heat with intense humidity. Like, my gosh, does the universe want them to suffer that much? Like, one issue after another. But despite all that, the guys, in my humble and totally non-biased opinion, did a great job. It is now the evaluation day, and last week they were criticized for not looking like a coherent team, so she will be expecting a big improvement this week. The guys go into the meeting room to receive their feedback from Hee-jun, and she asked Blaze how he is feeling now after their one-to-one meeting, and he said that he's glad he got that feedback last week because he feels like he has grown closer to the other guys, and Hee-jun said that's what was lacking last week and she thinks that it's all been sorted out now. And she said she can see that Blaze is working hard on chemistry and proper teamwork to match the other guys, and it shows through his performance this week. As for Ollie, she said that his singing is good, but he is still lacking confidence in his dancing, but despite that he was very stable during the performance. Next up is Dexter, and for his feedback she said that he's filled with so much joy and happy energy that he can't control his breathing and his voice shakes. As for Reese, Hee-jun said that from the beginning she has said he can do everything very well and he shouldn't cry when he can't hit the notes during practice, and if it doesn't happen at once you should continue with determination, and if it was easy everyone would become an artist. And as for James, they didn't show him getting any feedback, so I'm gonna assume he did good, so congratulations James, you're amazing. Also during the evaluation, Hee-jun said that the guys shouldn't cry because they aren't babies, but this episode shows they guys all dealing with something. Blaze having to sit down and talk about how he feels like he isn't wanted, Reese being frustrated with not being able to hit the high notes, James having a scare with his brother in the hospital, Ollie and Dexter having to deal with their hay fever while shooting, also Dexter having to deal with his diabetes on top of training and the hay fever. And all this was shown in a 43-minute episode, and the guys have been doing this for 4 weeks now. I feel like if they want to cry to let out their frustrations, it shouldn't be something that they are criticized for. It's normal for them to get overwhelmed, especially in a survival show like this where they have already been told before that if they don't meet Hee-jun's standards, they will be dropped. And that's everything that happened in episode 4, and next week's preview shows the guys in military uniforms, and their evaluation seems like it will be them performing all their songs so far, which is one hell of a challenge. I can't wait. Sorry again for the delay with posting this video, and currently editing episode 5 of should be out sometime tomorrow, hopefully, so look forward to it, and if you enjoyed feel free to like and subscribe. 'Cause we got what they want and that's facts. So everybody